So let's do this last bit of 6.8. So this is going to be 6.8b, and we're on the second page of your note sheet, the top, and we are going to learn how to rewrite these functions so they're easier to graph using transformations, and then we're going to describe how to graph. So on example one, first thing we're going to do is try to look at what's going on down here. So I want to look under the radical and go, okay, there's a 25x and a 125. So what I need to do is we are going to look under the radical for a GCF. Okay, and here's a little hint. It will be the coefficient of x. Every single time it will be the coefficient of x. Okay, so what is my coefficient of x? Well, my coefficient of x is the number in front. So let me get my hand out of the way. Number in front is 25. So my GCF underneath that radical is going to be 25. So let's rewrite this. I've got y equals, and I'm going to have a square root. So my GCF is 25. I'm going to remove or divide that from both things. So 25x divided by 25 gives me x. 125 divided by 25 is 5. So we are going to take that out of both of those and then bring down our minus 3 that's outside the radical. So now let's look at what's under the radical. Can I take the square root of any of those things? Well, hopefully you recognize that you can take the square root of 25. The square root of 25 is 5. So the square root of 25 being 5, I take that out of the radical because I took the square root of it. But x plus 5 I cannot take the square root of, so that stays under the radical. And then minus 3 out here. So next, I am going to go look and see if I have any transformations. So now that it's set up with just things under the radical, no more coefficient, I'm going to look for my transformations. So remember, out in front is a vertical stretch or compression. Is 5 a stretch or compression? It is a stretch because it's bigger than 1. So I have a vertical stretch of 5. Inside my radical, I have left and right going on. Left and right is going on. So under here, it says plus 5. That means I'm going to go left, or I'm going to have a shift left 5. And after my radical is up and down. Down. This is minus, so it's going to go down, shift down 3. So it says describe how to graph. So here's my transformations. Now I'm going to describe how to graph. Well, the first thing I need to graph is my start point. The start point is changed from 0, 0 by any shifts. So it was 0, 0, but I made it go left 5. So now it will go negative 5 and down 3. So negative 3. So if I were going to graph this, I'd go left 5 and down 3. Then my normal pattern for growing on one of these is right 1, up 1, because that's the same on all of them. And now I need to check and see what kind of root this is. So since this is square root, I'm going to go right 4, up 2, right 9, up 3. And remember, that does not have any mirror points. The square root doesn't have any other points. So I've taken care of my left 5 and down 3 by the start point, but I haven't taken care of my vertical stretch. So does anyone remember, what happens to these overs and ups when you have a vertical stretch? Hopefully you remember that we multiply all the ups and or downs by that stretch. So what I will truly graph is over 1, up 5, over 4, up 10, and over 9, up 15. So my start point of negative 5, 3, and then I would follow these arrows to get more points, and that would give me my graph. Let's try another one. So this one looks like everything's down there underneath that radical. There's nothing out here. So I have to look underneath that radical. Let's see what the GCF is. Well, remember my hint that it's always going to be the coefficient of x. The coefficient of x in this case is negative 64. So when I rewrite this, y equals, that's a cube root, so make sure you put a 3 in the index of your radical. We're going to divide out a negative 64 from all my terms. So negative 64, when I do negative 64x divided by negative 64, I end up with x. Negative 128 divided by negative 64 is 2. So x plus 2. Now I have to do cube root of negative 64. So some people were asking me, how do I get cube root in my calculator? You don't. Make a factor tree. So if you don't know what the cube root of 64 is, I want you to make a factor tree and circle 3. And when you get that, you'll see that you'll circle a set of 3 2's and another set of 3 2's. So we multiply those together and get 4. Now remember, when you have cube root with a negative, an odd index, you keep the sign and just pull it out front. If this had been an even index, like 2, we would have an I. But since it's a 3, an odd, the negative sign just comes out with it. Okay, and then we have my cube root of whatever got to stay, so x plus 2. All right, so transformations, I see 3. Why don't you pause the video and see if you can figure out what all 3 are? Now, hopefully you took time to actually pause and see that there are 3 transformations here. I'll point to them and see what you see. So there's all 3 of the transformations. So what do you see? Hopefully you see that we have a negative here, gives us a reflection. So this is a reflection over the x-axis. This negative 4 is a vertical stretch of 4 because it's bigger than 1. And this 2, being inside, is going to go right or left. It's positive, so it's going to go left 2. So remember, when we graph these, first thing we do is do our start point. So start point is at 0, 0 normally, but if I've gone left 2, it's at negative 2, 0. Now this is cube root, because of that 3 in the index. So I go right 1, up 1, right 8, up 2, and then I go, well, that's fine, left 1, down 1, left 8, down 2. So with cube root, you have right and up and left and down. So let's see what has messed with this. Well, a reflection over the x-axis, hopefully you're using pencil, a reflection over the x-axis takes all these ups and multiplies them by negative 1. So it flips them. So now when I go right, I'll go down, and left, I'll go up. And then what does the vertical stretch of 4 do? It multiplies my ups and downs both by 4. So I will go right 1, down 4, right 8, down 8, left 1, up 4, left 8, up 8. Last but not least, this one we've got a fraction. Oh, and we have something weird. So this 3 out here, well, we've never had something in front of our radical that wasn't multiplied. This 3 is being subtracted. So let's move that guy. Let's move him over here. That's just weird. Okay, so GCF. Do we have a GCF? Yes, we always have a GCF if there's a coefficient of x. So 0.25 as a fraction is 1/4. So I am going to factor that out. So I moved the 3, but I can't move this negative. So it's going to be negative square root of 1/4. And then I have 1/4 x divided by 1/4 is just going to be x. 2 divided by 1/4? Well, remember when we divide by a fraction, a number divided by a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal. So 2 times the reciprocal of 1/4, which is 4. 2 times 4 leaves me with 8. Okay, then I moved that 3 over here. In front of it, it has nothing, so it's going to be plus 3. Okay, so now over here, I did the cube root of 64, so here I'm going to have to do the square root of 1/4. Well, let's do that over here. What is the square root of 1/4? Well, I can rewrite this as square root of 1 over square root of 4. What's the square root of 1? 1. What's the square root of 4? 2. So when I take the square root of 1/4, bring down your negative, the square root of 1/4 is 1/2. Then still inside your radical, square root of x plus 8, and then plus 3. Now I see 4 transformations. I want you to pause the video and see if you can get all 4. Hopefully you recognize by now that a negative out here is a reflection over the x-axis. This 1/2 is a vertical stretch or a compression. Since it's smaller than 1, it's a vertical compression. Eight inside is a shift left or right. Since it's positive, that's going to go left 8. And the 3 is up or down. Since it's positive, it's going to go up 3. So 2 of those things affect my start point. Which 2 are they? Well, the 2 that affect my start point are my shifts. So anything that happened under the radical and anything that happened after it. So under the radical and after it affect the start point. So if I went left 8, that's negative 8. Up 3, that's positive 3. Now my normal pattern for growing on a square root is right 1, up 1, right 4, up 9, nope, 2, sorry, I got ahead of myself, and right 9, up 3. There we go. That 2 looks really bad. So I still have a reflection and a vertical compression that messes with this stuff. What does the reflection mess with? Well, hopefully you remember that a reflection makes any ups go down and any downs go up. In this case, we don't have any downs, so we won't have anything that gets changed to up. So all of our ups go down. Then a vertical compression, we multiply all of our ups by 1/2. So when I go right 1, I'll go down 1/2, right 4, down 1, and right 9, down 1.5. So I'm not actually going to take the time to graph these, but on your assignment, you are asked to graph them. So make sure you are reading the directions and following them. Please let us know if you have any questions, and good luck on your assignment.